The LinkedIn Podcast Network is sponsored by TIAA. TIAA makes you a retirement promise, a promise of a guaranteed retirement paycheck for life. Learn more at TIAA.org/promises pay off.
LinkedIn presents.
At its heart, science teaches us to step away from our egos, to wonder, to push through repeated failures and hits, and to accept the things we can't change. On so many levels, these are life-saving skills.
Hi everyone, it's Tuesday. I'm your host, Michael Kovnat, and this is the Next Big Idea Daily. So I hope everything's going well in your life, but I know that all of us go through hard times occasionally. Even the luckiest among us eventually have to grapple with loss and grief. Everyone's path through that pain is unique, of course, but for Alan Townsend, it involved taking solace in science. Alan is an ecosystem ecologist and the dean of the University of Montana's College of Forestry and Conservation. And when his wife and daughter were both diagnosed with brain cancer, he needed all his emotional and intellectual resources to handle the situation. Alan writes about how leaning on the scientific worldview helped him through those difficult days, and he joins us now to share his key insights.
Hi, I'm Alan Townsend. I'm an environmental scientist and currently serve as the dean of the Franke College of Forestry and Conservation at the University of Montana. I'm also the author of This Ordinary Stardust, A Scientist's Path from Grief to Wonder. The book is part memoir, part broader reflections on science and how thinking like a scientist is accessible to anyone and can perhaps help us find more peace and joy in an unpredictable world. Science is about more than answers and solutions. I once had a tendency to believe that science held the keys to nearly every answer humanity sought, that it could, given sufficient time and effort, explain our planet and ourselves, and predict so much of what might come next. And of course, science is full of miraculous solutions to humanity's needs and challenges. And it is capable of remarkable predictive power. Look around you. Think about how almost any day unfolds. And odds are, just about everything you see and do has some direct connection to scientific discovery. But science can, if we let it, be even more than that. It can offer a way of being in the world. At its heart, science teaches us to step away from our egos, to wonder, to push through repeated failures and hits, and to accept the things we can't change. On so many levels, these are life-saving skills. And at its best, science is an act of profound attention and empathy, a way to express all that is best about us: curiosity, caring, altruism, in service of our loved ones, and millions of others too. Put more simply, it can be an act of love. Grief is trauma, and science can help you through. When my young daughter and then my wife both contracted brain tumors within a year of each other, my world was ripped apart. It changed my lens on science and myself, and for a while, sent me into a tailspin that was nearly tragic on its own. I was despondent and angry, reactionary, self-centered, often unable to step back and question and think. Grief is the most powerful force I've ever known. But thinking like a scientist helped me discover my path out. I found comfort in the fact that our atomic nature, that stardust within us all, is effectively immortal. That the elements which assemble us carry an infinite number of stories across the arc of time. And when our own time is done, go on to be part of an uncountable number of stories the world has yet to write. And I learned that some very basic habits science tries to instill: wonder at the world and acceptance of that world as it is, can bring an unexpected peace, even in our hardest times. Curiosity is medicine. Even after millions of years of evolution, our miraculous brains are still kind of a mess. We're wired to switch into fight or flight mode in the face of stressors that come our way. An understandable trait when, for most of our history, we had to be ready to respond to threats like hungry lions or murderous neighbors. But we kind of suck at the more chronic, insidious stressors that often dominate our current lives. They make us literally less fluid and unleash chemical cocktails that wreak havoc within. Curiosity, though, does the opposite. When we find a way to set stress aside and be curious instead, be that at phenomena of the natural world, or simply by taking an inquisitive rather than reactive approach to a coworker who's pissing us off, our brains relax and open up, and our bodies are bathed in the good stuff instead. Curiosity is literally medicine, which poises our bodies and our behavior for much healthier paths. The butterfly has something to teach us. We like to frame the world in stories, but when it comes to our own lives, we have expectations, or at least strong desires, for how they'll go. And we often want science to lessen the uncertainties that inevitably surround us, to lower threats, to tell us the odds of what might happen next. Through the science behind it, butterfly metamorphosis reminds us that stories often don't turn out as we expect, but still can contain unexpected miracles. When a caterpillar transforms, it literally dissolves into goo. But within that mess, that was once thought to be an example of resurrection, are tiny cells, which contain both the memories of the bug's past and the seeds of its future. From what looks to be total destruction, a wholly different and lovely new entity is born. We can't grow forever, and we can't progress on this planet without also having destruction and loss. Nor can we predict or control every aspect of our fate. But science shows us that every seeming apocalypse is ultimately ephemeral, and that many are followed by unimaginable beauty. Science is deeply human. Like religion, science seeks to comfort, to explain, and often to control. It's grounded in fundamental truths about how the world works, but it's also a lens on that world that's practiced by humans, which means it's subject to our own frailties and failings. Many faith traditions preach humility and kindness. Then they are still too often used to exclude, demean, and even kill. But at times, so is science. And yet, the best scientists I know are consumed by passion for their work, and often driven by desires to help people they'll never meet. Like so much in today's dialogue, science is too often reduced to caricatures and oversimplifications, in which both the nuance and real humanity are stripped away. I believe science becomes its whole self, in both discovery and within us, when we neither demonize nor deify it, and when we don't demand perfection to lend it our trust, when instead we view it as most religions frame humanity. Basically messy, hopefully striving every day to improve, and still capable of astonishing miracles.
Thank you, Alan. And thanks for joining us, everyone. I hope you'll come on back tomorrow. And in the meantime, how about signing up for my free newsletter? It's a weekly roundup of the biggest ideas from the best new nonfiction. Just use the link in the episode notes or search for The Next Big Idea on LinkedIn. I'm Michael Kovnat. See you tomorrow.